Today is going to be one of the most shocking shows you've ever seen in your life. I'm going to show you so much video, and I've got to report a story that I don't want to report. But, you know, as much as horrible as what you're going to hear is against Mayor Rohan and what you're going to see, it's easy to go, damn, man, this is so depressing. But in reality, it couldn't have gone much better. I mean, when you know how bad that the establishment stepped in it today. I mean, if Mayor Rohan had not retained the law firm, an amazing law firm in Tallahassee, Stephen Webster and Louis Baptiste, I'd be really worried about the ability of the establishment just to crush anybody. But they don't even know how bad they've stepped in it. So, I mean, and then I've got to tell you something else. And I might as well tell you this first because I don't know how else to do it. I'm wondering if I should do it now or later because it's something everybody needs to see. And look, if you think it's important, if you trust me and you think what I'm going to show you is worth getting the word out, please tag people, please share the show, because WMBB, this is the worst I've ever seen tonight, what they've done. But I want them to do more of it. Oh, this could work out really, really well. But I'm just going to tell you now because I don't know where else to tell you or how else to tell you other than I'm just going to be matter of fact and I'm going to tell you. But I'm bothered so much by it. Mayor Michelle Miller in Mexico Beach on Saturday, I have not spoken to her. I spoke to her Friday night, and we had a great conversation Friday night, very productive. And the next day, her daughter was murdered. Her daughter was murdered in Bainbridge, Georgia. She was a beloved teacher. It's a shock to everybody. The news is reporting that her husband shot her and shot himself. It's being reported as a murder-suicide. And that's all I'm going to say about it right now. I don't even know what to say because I wish I could have some magic words of comfort for her or something. I haven't spoken to her. But there's a meeting. This happens on Saturday. There's a meeting scheduled in Mexico Beach for today. And it was suggested that maybe they postpone the meeting in light of this devastating news. And it's not a tragedy. It's evil. There's a difference. A hurricane's a tragedy. This is unspeakable evil. But and WMBB did report about this, and I'm going to share with you their report. And then I'm going to show you the meeting, just a portion of the opening of the meeting today in Mexico Beach, since Mayor Miller wasn't there, obviously, right? So let's just get this story out in a factual way, and then I want to get to what I can really analyze and comment. All right, here's the story that Tom Lewis is reporting. And forgive me, but listen to Tom Lewis.
Tabled a number of issues today, saying they felt it was inappropriate to move forward without Mayor Michelle Miller. Miller was absent from today's meeting because she is dealing with a personal tragedy. Her son-in-law, Jody Poinevent, shot and killed her daughter, Melissa Poinevent, Saturday in Bainbridge, Georgia, then killed himself. Police are calling it a murder-suicide. Council members and community members started today's meeting with a prayer for Miller and her family during this difficult time.
At the end of the day, it's more important to unite as a community and in our thoughts and our prayers for this family, and that's what this community is about, sticking together through thick and thin, and everything that's important to all of us, and that's the community to stand together.
The port events leave behind 2 children. Our thoughts and sincere condolences go out to Mayor Miller and her.
Okay. So, you know, maybe the meeting should have been postponed. Maybe it shouldn't have been postponed. I'm really not even sure about it. If I had a vote, I would say postpone the meeting until Michelle Miller, Mayor Miller, can catch her breath here, right? So, but let me show you the news story is you know the how much they care and prayed for Mayor Miller, but instead they had the meeting and Vice Mayor Richard Iron Fist Wolf had the gavel. He's at the helm, and this is just the first minute of it. Okay.
Council comments. I'll get and start right at the table. Linda, if you had anything, you're good.
I'm just like Miss Hampton. Me
As well. I guess I'm not. I have some things I want to bring up. This is real simple. I'll go ahead and hand this out to you guys. I should have brought one to make a copy, I guess, but
We always got a chance.
this is just on financials. I just made some notes, that's all it is. And really what I'm looking for is input from the council to sit with maybe Chris individually and come up with something. But we're about 2.5 months into this year and we haven't really looked at the finances. We've looked at them individually, I think, as we go into, I can only speak for myself, as we go into the City Hall and ask for certain things and check things and stuff like that. But as far as a team at this table, we have not done that.
These guys are in big trouble. The state has begun an audit and it is going terrible for them. We are learning that for the past 10 years, there have been major problems. I'm going to cover that later. And there's a lot more in a video hearing that I will be sharing with you and maybe as soon as tomorrow, okay? But for now, pray for Michelle Miller and her family, please, all right? And I just don't know what else to say about it. So let me share this so we can remember what's at stake in April, and then I'm going to get to maybe some of the most shocking allegations and video I've ever shown you on this show. Again, if you want people to know that WMBB is spewing toxic propaganda, please tag your friends, share the show, because they need to know. It's amazing how many people believe them. But first, let's remember April's election in Panama City Beach, how important it is with Mayor Mark Sheldon. Mayor Mark Sheldon is pushing for a $10 million pedestrian bridge to connect Frank Brown Park to Aaron Besant Park. It's great for music festivals. It's the city's #1 priority this year. They've got a bunch of projects, and they plan to spend $236 million. 2 years ago, the budget for the city was only $42 million. That's why locals are paying so much more in assessments to the city. Mayor Sheldon says it's worth it. After all, he owns Gulf Coast Jam. The city's #1 priority will benefit his music festivals. He wants more state and federal grant money as a slush fund.
These are significant projects that will make a huge difference in our community. The first is to pursue any available state aid for the planning, design, and environmental studies related to a pedestrian bridge connecting Aaron Besant Park and Frank Brown Park. This walkover would link these two public parks and provide a safer avenue for our residents.
All right, now let's get to what is happening in Panama City Beach. Remember that the St. Joe Company and the big developers cannot, their deadlines, their timelines, they cannot have, and there's others too. There's other reasons. The two new mayors in office, Michelle Miller and Doc Rowan, and they are. And the reason that it's all happening now is now they're eligible for recall. So the first step is to conspire and destroy their reputations and their will. And then, perhaps, and you'll see that today, Commissioner Josh Street in Panama City, he was pushing for a prosecution, a criminal prosecution against Doc Rowan, and you're going to see what I told him as well. I predicted this attack on Doc Rowan before it started. Do you remember? And WMBB is ready to attack Mayor Doc Rowan next week. Remember, I told you this, okay? I'll be there. Remember, I told you this. So let's start off with WMBB's horrific story today about Doc Rowan, and let's count the amount of lies, which I'll prove to you. Damn, I actually, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first, and then I'm going to show you so that you know when you see it, you'll know they're lying. WMBB. So Panama City, at the last meeting, said we better hire an outside lawyer to decide if Mayor Doc Rowan tried to illegally submit documents to reappropriate funding, if he destroyed a public record. And I told you they had something up their sleeve. I've known about this for a long time. And they unleashed it today, accusing him of sexual assault. Actually, they're calling it sexual harassment. But what they're describing to me sounds more like assault. So they hired this lawyer. And then today, the lawyer gave his report. They hired this outside attorney. You know how you've seen how cities do this, right? Whenever they're going to do something that is... Whenever they're going to do something that's illegal or they've been caught, what they'll do is they'll say, we'll hire some outside attorney to do an investigation for us. And they think that gives them cover, and it has. The difference, though, between the one in Lynn Haven not too long ago and the one in Panama City Beach the year before that, the difference is Mayor Miller has Marie Maddox representing her. And they have an evidentiary hearing in January 23rd. And I'm sure that's the last thing on Mayor Miller's mind tonight. God bless her. I can't tell you how much this is bothering me. But I'm going to stay focused on Mayor Rowan. So they brought this out today. So you're going to hear WMBB. You're going to hear WMBB say that there was a 2-week investigation into the mayor's conduct, all right? But this is what the attorney actually said today.
But I want to make 2 points very clear. I did not investigate these facts. I'm not submitting that they're accurate or inaccurate. I am taking the facts as they were presented. For the purposes of analyzing them to see if they do raise an issue that could be within the purview of the Florida Commission on Ethics. I'm not also opining whether there's a violation of the Commission on Ethics, Code of Ethics. That's for the Commission on Ethics to decide, not for me.
Did not investigate. It's not an investigation. All the attorney did, and I'll share this with you in a moment, is summarize the allegations and say if the allegations themselves are true, then this is the case. All right, remember that. He did not investigate. All he did was he took what Representative Griffith's office told him, and based on the allegations from Representative Griffith's office, who, remember, last meeting was standing behind the wall and during the intermission accosted the mayor. Mayor Rohan has filed a police report. Okay? They look, they overstep, man. They don't realize that, first of all, Mayor Rowan's lawyers are not messing around with these allegations, because really they're criminal allegations. So you're going to hear WMBB say there was an investigation. You're also going to hear WMBB use the term findings. The attorney's findings show that, no, he doesn't give findings. You don't believe me? Here's the attorney today.
Following summaries are not findings of fact.
Not findings of fact. Listen.
Following summaries are not findings of fact. To the contrary, they are simply evaluated from the standpoint of whether the allegations, if accepted as true, would constitute a potential violation of law, meaning the code of ethics, and thus would merit being investigated or reviewed by that appropriate entity. Florida State Representative Philip Wayne Griffiths Jr.'s aides report the occurrences of November 13th, 2023 as follows. Mayor Rohan appeared.
And then he goes on simply to give a summary. All he's doing is reading a summary of the allegations from Representative Griffith's office. There is no investigation. There are no findings. Okay? Now, Doc Rowan made a statement today. The mayor himself made a statement. Let's go straight to that.
Before we go on, I need to make a comment. And I'm going to tell you folks, as Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, I would like you all to know that I have done absolutely nothing wrong. And you can take that to the bank. I replaced long-term politicians here in town, part of a ruling deep state. And the deep state doesn't like what I'm doing. Bernie Thompson, 3 days before the last meeting, notified me that they were out to get me. He proved to be quite a prophet, I would have to say. So again, I replaced some long-standing people. The deep state doesn't like me, and I've hired attorneys, and we'll see where this ends. So keep in touch. This is just, I don't know if this is chapter 1 or 2, but the saga goes on.
As Winston Churchill said, when Germany began the bombings, and after saying, "We don't want you, Winston, you're a warmonger," after they needed Winston and they begged him to come back, Winston Churchill said, "I don't know if this is the beginning of the end or the end of the beginning." I can tell you this is probably the end of the beginning, but it might be the beginning of the end for the establishment that is used to doing this to people, because now people are lawyering up for the right reasons, and we'll be, for the first time, getting to see people under oath in front of judges, being subpoenaed, being deposed. Yeah, this is whew. Let's just say there better not be any communication beforehand. Now, let's get back to the videos, because I've got so much more for you. I think that this is good for me to show you these things before I show you the WMBB story, so that when you see the story, you'll know that they're lying, right? So I made comments today, and the first comments that I made were before the Fakakta attorney spoke, all right? So I went up there at the beginning of the meeting and I said this. I just want to talk about the item 7C and Act 2 of the political theater that you all are putting on in this conspiracy to undermine the election, in this conspiracy to defraud the people of honest services. And it's what you all are saying about Mayor Rohan. It's outrageous. I want everybody to know what's happening behind the curtains as it's being directed, I believe, by Mr. William Harrison, the former St. Joe lobbyist, and others. But let's think about what happened. I want to fill everybody in so when we get to the second act of the play today, they can understand. First of all, Commissioner Josh Street, you made quite an accusation on the news, and boy, did I call it. 2 weeks ago, I said WMBB is going to run the hit piece, and they got just about everything wrong. And you said, Commissioner Street, that he created a public document.
Creating a government document like that was ultimately something that would have had to come from our staff, our attorney's office, and our city manager's office. So the fact that it was created without anyone's knowledge and without those things was concerning, and rightfully so.
Twice you said that. What public document did he create? Can't wait to hear that. The document in question is a PDF draft that belongs to a constituent that he printed out. There'll be somebody here in the audience today who is an expert on this subject matter, and you all are welcome to talk to him. I'll introduce each one of you to him. That's not a public record. It is a draft PDF that belonged to a constituent. Alfred Hitchcock would call this the MacGuffin, right? The device that drives the story forward. Your MacGuffin is a dud. It's like the jewelry that drove the story forward, but the jewelry's fake. That's not a public record. And if it was, I would be the first person to roast Mayor Rohan. And if I catch him, that's exactly what I'll do. But let's talk about more behind the curtain of this theater that you all are going to put on today. And you each have a role, I suppose. Let's talk about what happened at intermission 2 weeks ago. People were here. And Jared Jones over there, the assistant city manager, told the mayor, hey, somebody's behind the wall here that wants to talk to you. Do you know who that somebody behind the wall was? It was Representative Griff Griffiths, the very person you accused the mayor of bringing some MacGuffin to in order to try to repurpose money. It's impossible to repurpose money in that way. If you don't know the APR process, you need to learn the APR process. But Griff was behind that wall, and you knew it because you told him to go back there, and Griff said, Representative Jay Trumbull and I are watching, and we've been watching for a while, and we're going to file an ethics complaint against you. I'm going to watch the rest of Act 2, and I'll be back at the end to comment on your performance. Thank you.
Hand caught in the cookie jar? Sometimes bad habits continue even into adulthood. I'm El Saline, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, let's get back to this Fakakta attorney that they brought up. His name is, oh boy, will somebody please write his name down? I can't remember his name. Is it McManus? It's something like that. So if somebody will please write his name down, this attorney. He's from, I believe it's Allen, Norton, and Blue Law Firm. All right, let's watch this Fakakta attorney. All he does, remember, did not investigate. It's not a finding of fact. You heard him say that. I'll just remind you.
But I want to make 2 points very clear. I did not investigate these facts. I'm not submitting that they're accurate or inaccurate. The following summaries are not findings of fact. To the contrary, they are simply evaluated from the standpoint of whether the allegations, if accepted as true, would constitute a potential violation. I drafted a letter to the city And I'll read it. It's not very long. It says, please accept this as my response to your request that I evaluate whether the allegations related to actions by Mayor Michael Rohan Sr. potentially violated the Florida Code of Ethics for public officers and employees or any other state or local law or regulation. Specifically, I've been provided with information related to one, Mayor Rohan's attempt to submit an appropriations project request form to the office of Florida State Representative Philip Wayne Griffiths Jr., and two, allegations by an employee of the city, Panama City, that Mayor Rohan sexually harassed her on July 4th, 2023. The following are summaries of these factual allegations as they were presented to us being my firm. I have interviewed select witnesses, reviewed documentation reports, and reviewed relevant video footage of the City Commission's November 14th, 2023 meeting, during which the Commission, including Mayor Rohan, discussed the APR matter. The following.
So you see he did not do an investigation. Remember that, and his name is Philip McManus. McManus, you're horrible at what you do. But Bernie, it was easy money, man. All I had to do was read what they gave me. All I had to do was read what the city gave me and pretend I did some sort of analysis. Now, Bernie, why would you say such a thing? Well, let me show you. So while he was reading whatever the hell he was, tell me if you think he wrote this. So as he's reading this letter that he analyzed and wrote, as he's reading it, and it's a paper copy, by the way, you can hear it, right? He's reading a paper copy. Guess what that paper copy is? Since it's being used in a city council meeting, that paper copy is a ding, 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 public record. The physical paper copy he's reading from is a public record, and I requested that today. I want a copy of that paper he was reading from. And let me just say, just in case anybody connected with Panama City's conspiracy to undermine the election might happen to see this, let me warn you that I know exactly the part and the wording, so what I get better match. And, ooh, pobrecito, if he does not have it, because that's the whole point. Well, Doc Rohan didn't have this redundant copy of a constituent's printed PDF that she filled out. That's what you guys are talking about. That's the MacGuffin here. And he's the guy saying what he's saying. I want that paper copy. You know why? Because as he was reading this paper copy that was clearly given to him, he came across something and he couldn't read it. Because he starts to say, remember, all he's doing is summarizing what Representative Grifter Griffiths, what his office is saying. That's the only thing he's doing. And so they gave him this, he's summarizing their allegations, and he's reading off this paper, and he gets to the point where it says the staff called the appropriations committee staff or something, and they said you couldn't. And then he's like, holy shit, I can't read this. What I think it says is the appropriation staff said he can't submit an APR form, only you can. That's what I think he saw, and he couldn't read it. So he stumbles because he hadn't done his job. Because he's reading what somebody else wrote, and he's looking at it going, holy shit, watch. You don't believe me? Watch.
The aides then contacted the deputy director of the House Appropriations Committee regarding the request and the form. The deputy director stated that the request could not be.
Could not be what? We're going to watch him. We're going to watch him. But that's the part. So that public record that he's reading from, I want it. I want to know what he didn't want to say, because I bet it says that the appropriations director said, what are you talking about? He can't submit it. Only you can type it up and submit it through the APR system in Legis, which is a House secure website. That's the only way it can be submitted. Why didn't you keep reading there, Philip McManus, Mr. Attorney Extraordinaire? Because you didn't write that, did you? And I hope you preserve that public record, because I requested it today.
The aides then contacted the deputy director of the House Appropriations Committee regarding the request and the form. The deputy director stated that the request could not be accepted. After some further discussion, Mayor Rohan left with the form.
All right, now you're starting to see what happened today. So the Fakakta attorney they hired also said, because I've been telling them, I sent all of them an email explaining why the constituents printed PDF that she filled out and Griff's office wrote on, never signed, never written on at all by Mayor Rohan ever, although he did email it to his mayor email account, rightfully so, because he wanted to talk about it at a future meeting. They didn't want him to, so they intercepted it, and they are accusing him of committing crimes. That's what happened. It was the right thing to do, and the email's a public record, of course, obviously, and the constituents filled out PDF that he attached is a public record by virtue, so it's already preserved. Griff's office didn't preserve it. This is the clumsiest, stupidest attack on Mayor Rohan. And those of you who are co-conspirators, keep doing it. I want you to. I wouldn't be saying this if Doc Rohan hadn't hired Webster and Batiste law firm. I wouldn't be saying that. I'd be saying, oh man, these guys get away with everything. Not so sure this time. All right, so you saw all that? All right. So then, after all that, then you get the chief inquisitor, all right, Josh Street. I don't know if I've ever seen, because listen, these kind of accusations and coordinated attacks where you call somebody a sexual assaulter, they use the word harassment, but they describe assault. They say that, well, Mayor Rohan, during a 4th of July celebration, during a picture with staff and ladies, was reaching down, grabbing her ass, getting all the kids. It's 4th of July, baby. Whack, whack. And some lady who's not an employee saw it. All right. That sounds to me like assault. If I come up behind you and grab much as I can, because we're taking a picture, I don't think that's harassment. And the public, what you're going to see now is when the Fakakta attorney said, look, it's not a public record issue. That's not enough for Josh Street. Because Josh Street wants Doc Rohan in jail. Because a public record violation, there's a lot of people ought to be in jail, including, as I've told you, Representative Griffiths himself and every member of the Lynn Haven, I don't have the picture here, and every member of the Lynn Haven City Commission who all went together in the same room together and advocated together for funding from Tallahassee for a stormwater project that they're going to be voting on. That is a picture, a photograph posted on their official Facebook page, that is a sunshine violation. That is the definition, the picture of it. And it's that same state representative, Griff Griffiths, who is accusing Doc Rohan of a public records violation. And after the attorney said no, Josh Street, there's always going to be people like him throughout history. He would have made a great chief inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor. There's always going to be people like that who are happy to. Well, I went up a second time to make public comments. I might as well show them to you right now since I'm talking about it. Let me show you. Let me show you Josh Street doing all he can to have the state attorney, the chief prosecutor, Larry Bassford. Remember, Larry Bassford is. Remember this now. Of all the sunshine violations that you and I know happen around here, the top prosecutor, Larry Bassford, the state attorney, it's like a district attorney, a state attorney, he's only prosecuted like a handful of people. It was the Mexico Beach Planning Board because they wanted to put Michelle Miller in jail last year because they knew she was going to run for mayor. So Larry Bassford has actually prosecuted Michelle Miller for a sunshine violation last year. Of course, they dropped it because that's what they always do. And Josh Street is here trying to get everybody to give a criminal referral to Larry Bassford, who, by the way, Larry Bassford and Sheriff Tommy Ford, do you want to know who their campaign manager is? This guy. The guy directing the city attorney. So don't think that they don't have the juice to unleash hell on you and have a criminal prosecution. That guy right there, that's William Harrison. That's the St. Joe lobbyist, the former St. Joe lobbyist who I sat behind 2 weeks ago, and he's texting the ever-living out of people. People are, while this is happening, this kingmaker right here, the puppet master, the director of this theater, I can see on his phone he's getting statutes that are highlighted so that he can, direct the play. He is Larry Bassford's campaign manager. He is Sheriff Ford's campaign manager. Understand what I'm saying here. It's super, super, super dangerous to be telling you this stuff. But Josh Street, he wants Doc in jail, man. Watch him. So, and I always spot this stuff because I've been doing it a long time. Josh Street's going to act dumb, like, well, if it's not an ethics problem, who would we report it to? Like he hasn't already been instructed. Well, the answer is the state attorney, the chief prosecutor. Well, then I make a motion, we do that. Watch.
Mr. Mattamore, we had a couple of questions on some of the stuff that you've said. You mentioned that the Ethics Commission.
Jeez, I've got an apology to make. Jeez. I gave the wrong name earlier. All right, I'm going to have to post this because I feel terrible about it. It's not Philip McManus. I don't know anything about attorney Philip McManus, who is with Alan Norton and Blue. It's Mr. Mattamore. It's Michael Mattamore, who's the Fakakta attorney. I'm going to send this guy I don't know, this lawyer, Philip McManus, an email. Okay, I'm going to tell him, man, I said you were a terrible lawyer because I thought you were Mr. McManus. I've got to apologize to him, and I will apologize to him. That's not Philip McManus. I messed up. I made a mistake. And it's a big deal to me, all right? Because I don't want, look, your name and your reputation is all you got. Jeez. Philip McManus, I'm sorry, and I'm going to send you an email. It's Michael Mattimore, who is the FACACTA lawyer. Now, they work together, but it's Michael Mattimore who delivered all this duty.
The aides then contact.
Mr. Mattimore, we had a couple of questions on some of the stuff that you've said. You mentioned that the Ethics Commission does not oversee Florida public records law. Who does, in fact, oversee Florida records law?
Typically, Florida public records law violations are addressed by the state attorney.
And then just a follow-up question to the mayors. Is it required that there's a sworn statement for sexual harassment?
The law requires an employer to take all steps to ensure that there is a harassment-free workplace, whether there is an active sworn complaint or not. If information comes to the attention of the employer from whatever source, then there's an obligation to act on it.
And I guess the follow-up question to that would be, if the Commission of Ethics then took the next steps, would they be getting sworn statements? I don't really know the process. That's why I'm asking.
You know, typically they would assign it to an independent investigator on their staff that would conduct an investigation, including taking statements from potential witnesses.
All right, so there you see Josh Street trying to get a criminal prosecution against Mayor Rohan for a public record, and he knows it's not a public record. Tell you, Josh Street is a special kind of evil, and a lot of you like him, but that's evil. This Salem witch trial is evil, and if they were doing it to him, I would defend him. Not him as a person, but I would defend the rule of law. I would defend the process. But that's a special kind of evil right there. There's always been throughout history people like Josh Street, but Bernie, he's a church-going man. He's the chief inquisitor. And I told him so, and I didn't. Look, when I went up there the second time, I really had more analysis to give them. But you only have 3 minutes. And the second time I went up there, something got a hold of me. I take my craft as a watchdog journalist very seriously. I'm trained, I'm educated in it, and I've dedicated my life to it. Just like a couple of you, Mayor Rohan, you're an orthopedic surgeon, craft you did for 40 years or so. And Mr. Zimmerman, you're a licensed attorney. And what you did, what you've been saying about a public record was wrong. The farmed out FACACTA attorney that you hired said it was wrong. You should have known that. That is your craft, and it is beyond neglect. It's neglect that they didn't check it, but it's, to me, worse than that for you. It's a bar complaint as far as I'm concerned. You should know better. It would be as though, I mean, how could I know this but you not know that? It would be as though I'm watching Doc Rowan perform a total knee replacement, and I look over and I say, Doctor, that's his elbow. It's his elbow you're working on. It's worse than a mistake. And I had mentioned I'll send all of you an email saying that this was not a public record. And still, the chief inquisitor in this conspiracy to undermine the election, Josh Street, still, when they told you it was not a public record, what did you do? You wanted to refer it to the state attorney's office so Larry Bassford could prosecute Mayor Rohan? You know, I'm going to tell you something. You owe him an apology because you went on WMBB and said that he created a public record. Now you know it's false. You owe him an apology. What you are doing to him is like the Salem witch trials. Tell you what, man, God does not like false witness. And all of this innuendo There might be something wrong. We ought to get it checked out. You owe him an apology. It's unbelievable. You know, Shakespeare had a lot to say about slander. It's one of the worst things you can do to somebody with no evidence you did that and you continue to push it. It's unbelievable and unacceptable. And I got to tell you, when you brought the attorney on, Mr. Zimmerman, you all agreed at the last meeting that he should give you, because you're inept, he should give you his opinion about two things. The APR, the visit to Representative Griffith's office, and a public record. And then you add a third thing. Sexual assault. No sworn statement. Again, imagine if they said that. If they said that about you, Commissioner Street, I would be here defending you. I am not a Doc Rowan supporter. I'm a rule of law supporter. And I haven't seen something this egregious in a long time. I had so much more to say. But you owe him an apology. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Some got a hold of me on that because man, I mean, that's a whole nother level of evil. You know, that's the precursor of what they did to the most popular mayor in Bay County history, Margo Anderson. They just kept going on her. And she thought if I do the right thing and blow the whistle that, you know, we'll clean the town up. But instead, the powers, they said she did it. And then the feds got involved and they indicted her on 64 counts, all of which were over 3.5 years. Dropped. Every one of them. Because they were bogus, goddamn lies. And this is the precursor to that. And when there's evil in our midst at this level, where are you? Where's the community? But Bernie, they might get mad at me. Now you understand how these things happen throughout history. I'll show you one more clip from Josh Street. He clearly has been given questions. And one of the questions, after they accuse him of sexual assault, Mayor Rowan, one of the questions is, and by the way, I want them to keep doing it. You know why? Because Webster and Baptiste are watching. Keep doing it. Keep pushing this all the way to an evidentiary hearing. I want you to. All right. Boy, I have to remember that because it's so upsetting. So here he is. He's been, of course, asked, make sure you ask Mayor Rowan, are you denying that you did this? When did you stop beating your wife? When did you stop beating your wife? When did you stop beating your wife? It wasn't my wife I was beating. You know, I know these tricks, man. I'm what you would call a rhetorical expert. This is what I do, right? All right, so let's listen to this. Now, it really makes Mayor Rowan look guilty, and WMBB seized upon this video because now that the mayor has strong legal representation when it comes to this, when it comes to these accusations, he's not to answer any of these questions up there ever. And they know that. And if you don't deny and if you don't answer, you can look guilty when WMBB gets a hold of it. And that's why this played out the way it played out. But Mayor Rowan, again, he did the right thing in this situation. It makes the way it's set up, it makes them. So you got to understand, you can see Mayor Rowan trying to remember the names. I do it too. Watch me when I say Webster and Baptiste. I always forget. Like, Stephen, it's Webster. I don't know them. And I hope to know them because these guys are brilliant minds and I can learn a lot about government and law. But watch the chief inquisitor asked this question, and Mayor Rowan's answer.
I guess I do have a question for the mayor. So are you denying these, that you did not touch a female inappropriately?
Let's see, Baptiste and Webster in Tallahassee will handle all questions.
So no comment.
If you want to talk to me off the record sometime, we can, but as far as I'm concerned, the lawyers, you've asked the lawyers, I'm asking the lawyers. So we got lawyer versus lawyer here.
I do think.
And of course, the mayor's wrong, just like I was wrong earlier. You can't talk off the record. And this is something they'll be voting on. But I think what the mayor's probably trying to do is say, look, man, we'll talk about what I'm under oath, and you're under oath. But I think that's what he was trying to say. So you can't talk off the record, Mayor, if that's and I understand you want to when they keep upping the allegations against you. All right, so now that you've seen that it's not an investigation.
But I want to make 2 points very clear. I did not investigate these facts.
It is not, I played that clip in its entirety earlier, and it is not a finding of fact.
Following summaries are not findings of fact.
Now let's watch WMBB. All right, now that you've seen this, watch how and by the way, do you know that WMBB, Brady Calhoun, was sitting at the station watching this and published a story that made it onto MSM.com. During the meeting, they posted mayor of Panama City accused of sexual harassment. While the meeting was still going on, WMBB was poised. They knew they've been talking to their co-conspirators to undermine the election. And they published a story during the meeting. All right. So, all right, let's take a look at this is horrific. It's going to make me ill watching this. And let me show you, by the way, who the reporter is first. So because he deserves credit for this. It's not just Tom Lewis. This young man here, hey, young man, don't ruin your career for these guys. I'm telling you, don't do it. He says, who the hell are you? I've got a degree in journalism. Okay, Jack, listen to me. Jack joined News 13 as a multimedia journalist and weekend anchor in June 2023. Colorado native, Jack studied at Chapman University in Orange County, California, where he got a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism and a minor in Spanish. Okay, very impressive. Chapman University in California. Listen, young man, I also studied journalism. I have a master's degree in journalism from USC in Los Angeles, from one of the most prestigious journalism schools in America, the Annenberg School. And I know, look, it's not worth it. You should have more humility and curiosity as a journalist. If they say you can't work here if you don't say it, you'll look back at this, Jack. You'll look back at this, and you'll say, "Damn, I sold my name out as early in my career. I was a PR hack, spewing toxic propaganda to my own community that adopted me in Bay County. It's not worth it, man. Contact me on the down low if you want to." All right. So this is the young man who is ruining his good name. Let's watch the news, the report now. This is disgusting. This is one of the worst I've ever seen. It might be the worst.
Against Mayor Michael Rohan with the Florida Ethics Commission. Panama City commissioners are filing complaints against Mayor Michael Rohan with the Florida Ethics Commission. One of the complaints is for sexual harassment, the other for filing fraudulent forms. As News 13's Jack Hull tells us, Rohan denies any wrongdoing and has hired his own lawyers.
Listen to his tone.
After a 2-week investigation, the Tallahassee...
Listen to Huey Lewis and the News's tone. He's denying it, and he's hired his own lawyers. You want to be like that, Jack?
Tallahassee-based law firm Allen Norton and Blue presenting their summary of the allegations facing Mayor Michael Rowan. City commissioners hired the outside counsel after their November 28th meeting 2 weeks ago, where it was revealed Mayor Rowan tried to hand over an appropriations project request form to Florida legislators.
Did you hear that? Where it was revealed that the mayor tried to hand over a appropriations project request form to legislators. The young man knows that's a lie because we have addressed it. That is in no way, and that's why the lawyer paused that I showed you earlier. What he just described is an impossibility. The best that can happen is you or me or anybody else can fill out a form, take it to Representative Griffith's office, and then they can take that form as a draft and type in the information in a secure website with the House of Representatives. They're the only ones who can submit it to legislators. That was a lie.
The paperwork requested moving $8 million appropriated for the Beach Drive multi-use path to the MLK Rec Center project. During that meeting, Rowan said he knew the form was no good, saying it was not even appropriate and it wasn't going anywhere.
It wasn't filled out properly, and it wasn't his. It was a constituent's. And I would have done the same thing. I would have brought it to Griff's office and said, let's talk about this because I didn't know it existed. I need to get smart on this before I go talk to the council about it.
He said his purpose for going to State Representative Griffith's office was to receive guidance on how to correctly fill the form. Outside attorney Michael Mattamore's findings claimed...
There's no findings, Jack. I've already shared that with you, right? There's no findings. Do I need to prove it again?
The following summaries are not findings of fact.
Okay. Come on, man.
Different, adding Rowan intended to submit the request to the state and that he did not state he was there to obtain information.
It's impossible to submit the form to the state. All you can do is submit that form, that PDF, to Representative Griffith's office. Only he can submit it to the state.
On behalf of any constituents. The report says Rowan continued attempting to submit the form even after he was told no. Matamore explained his findings are not proven fact.
He did not submit it. He did not try to submit a form to the state. Look, I requested it. You're going to hear them continue to say that he submitted paperwork. So I made a public record request to Representative Griffith's office. I want the paperwork that was submitted. Here's what they told me. That's from Griff's office. There is not a copy. We're unable to fulfill your request as Mayor Rowan took the APR request with him. That's right, because he didn't submit it. It was a constituent's PDF fill out. Man, you guys are... Man, I wish I was a lawyer with Webster Baptiste. I'd love to get my crack at you guys under oath.
Facts, but an opinion as to whether the allegations would constitute a potential violation of law if they are true. He also included a sexual harassment claim against Rowan in the report.
By the way, remember, this is a key for inquisitions. You never know what you're going to be charged with, so you have no time for a defense. 2 weeks ago, the commission said, let's get an outside counsel to advise us since we have an inept, dumbass, corrupt attorney by the name of Nevin Zimmerman who works for Burke and Blue. Okay. Let's get an outside opinion about two things, this report and whether or not it's a public record. But they came back with what they really wanted the first time around, but they hadn't set it up properly yet. And that is a sexual assault allegation against Doc Rowan.
Female city worker has accused the mayor of groping her buttocks while taking a photo at the city's 4th of July event.
By the way, Mayor Rowan asked at the meeting, is there a sworn statement? And the answer, the lawyer was, Lloyd took a while. No, we don't have any sworn statements. Ah, okay.
The woman also claims Rowan was flirtatious and spoke to her inappropriately.
Yeah, Mayor Rowan's trying to hit on her, man. Mayor Rowan's got all kind of side pieces. You know, don't let Thelma know about it. He's out there grabbing ass every chance he gets. Oh, I hope Thelma doesn't find out. I hope not too, Doc. Okay.
The city's assistant human resources director sent the woman's written complaint to the interim city manager on November 13th, 2 days after commissioners agreed to hire Matamore to look into the funding form issue. Matamore's report says the city HR director tried to schedule several interviews with Rowan about the woman's claims, but he was unavailable.
Actually, what the real story is, and you know this, Jack, is Mayor Rowan, when he realized what they were trying to put him in jail, he said, we can communicate by print, by email, but yeah, you're going to have to wait till I get an attorney at this point. That's what really happened, Jack.
When asked about the claim Tuesday, Rowan referred to his legal team.
So are you denying these, that you did not touch a female inappropriately?
So here's the hit piece. So you ask him the question. That's, again, of course, the chief inquisitor, one of the most evil people I've seen so far in government. Josh Street. It's always the guys that wear their faith on their sleeve, yet cast the most vicious and vile accusations with no sworn statement, no evidence. Let's get it to the state attorney when he knows it's not a public record. This guy's unbelievable. Piece of work, man. So are you denying it? Now he knows he's been told that's only a question at this point, since you're trying to put him in jail, that his lawyers can answer. And so he's like me, Mayor Rowan, trying to remember the names Webster and Batiste. Watch how they make him look guilty. Watch this.
Legal team.
So are you denying these, that you did not touch a female inappropriately?
Let's see, Baptiste and Webster in Tallahassee will handle all questions.
Rowan continues to maintain he's done nothing wrong and that this investigation into his conduct is the result of a conspiracy to block his agenda.
Yeah, it's not quite what he said there, Jack, but you're starting to sound... they might have openings at CNN.
I replaced long-term politicians here in town, part of a ruling deep state, and the deep state doesn't like what I'm doing.
Matamore's findings concluded an official complaint would not be frivolous or malicious.
Do I have to do it again? Somebody have this kid watch that there are no findings.
The following summaries are not findings of fact.
All right. All he did was summarize what Griffith's office alleged and said, if those allegations are true, then this would be... You say, Bernie, they didn't do any investigation? No.
But I want to make 2 points very clear. I did not investigate these facts. I'm not submitting that they're accurate or inaccurate. I drafted a letter to the city, and I'll read it. It's not very long. It says, please accept this as my response to your request that I evaluate whether the allegations related to actions by Mayor Michael Rohan Sr. potentially violated the Florida Code of Ethics for public officers and employees or any other state or local law or regulation. Specifically, I've been provided with information related to 1, Mayor Rowan's attempt to submit an appropriations project request form to the office of Florida State Representative Philip Wayne Griffiths Jr., and 2, allegations by an employee of the city, Panama City, that Mayor Rohan sexually harassed her on July 4th, 2023. The following are summaries of these factual allegations as they were presented to us.
They are summaries. He's reading what Griff's office and the accusers... This is what an inquisition looks like. We didn't really investigate. We don't really have any findings. I'm a lawyer that they hired, and I'm just summarizing the allegations to make it look more official so that WMBB can lie to you. You know, I got to tell you, man, oh man, I didn't upload it. All right, I was going to show you the Gallup poll recently showed that the only institution in America that is less trusted than TV news is Congress. The least trusted so-and-sos in America are TV news. Young Jack Hull, do you want to be part of that? Or do you want to take journalism, that beautiful craft, and do the right thing? Because if you do this long enough, man, it will define you.
Delicious. Commissioners, including Rohan, voted unanimously to file 2 official complaints to the Florida Ethics Commission.
They'll go forth and they'll do what they do, and they'll let us know what their findings are. But we're all equals here, so we can't take any action against each other. We have to push it to a higher level.
In Panama City, Jack Hull, News 13 Panhandle Strong.
Rohan told us he won't answer any questions without consulting his legal team. You can read Mattamore's entire report along with the city's letter on our website, mypanhandle.com.
They never really did tell you what I mean, they couldn't have shown that, what I showed you. That is a whore. You just watched a whore pretend to be a news anchor. Remember, just a few months, 7-8 months after Hurricane Michael, Mark Money Mover Sheldon, who became the mayor of Panama City Beach, started a nonprofit called Panhandle Strong. And Panhandle Strong is clearly paying the news station to say that all the time. You say, Bernie, how could you say that about the news director, Tom Lewis? Calling him a whore, really? Oh, that's not very professional. That's not journalist-like. It's true. As a matter of fact, here's Tom Lewis at Gulf Coast Jam, Panhandle Strong. How much did they make? How much did they get paid by the nonprofit owned by Mayor Mark Sheldon? Where does that money come from? And how much of it goes to WMBB for Tom Lewis to act like a shameless whore?
In Panama City Beach, I'm Tom Lewis, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
Yeah. That is effing shameful.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
It's a hot time in Florida, and my friend Ryan can make sure your air conditioning is running at peak efficiency. He could even install a new one, built to a higher standard, American standard. Find out more at PCAirRepair.com. Don't ever forget I predicted this before it ever happened. And WMBB is ready to attack Mayor Doc Rowan next week. Remember I told you this, okay? I'll be there. If you'd like to support my efforts, my independent efforts to tell you the rest of the story and to stand up there and face off against all the power, you can do that by throwing a little tip in the tip jar at Patreon. At patreon.com/Bernie Thompson, as little as $5 a month. You've got to admit it is the best $5 a month you could spend on the internet. Is it not? It helps a lot, by the way. It helps a lot. Crowdfunding is a main way that I keep this thing afloat. Patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It is anonymous. It's easy, and you can quit at any time. When you say, Bernie, you're not doing it anymore, you can quit. But meanwhile, linking arms really helps. And I also, of course, want to thank the Unknown Patriot for your support. If there are any more Unknown Patriots, I'll tell you what, I'd love to put up another one because we sure could use the help. There's a lot going on, and it is crazy. The Unknown Patriot, thank you for your support. With that, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Remember, behind that wall at the last meeting, State Representative Griff Griffiths accosted Mayor Doc Rowan, told him they've been planning this for a while, that he thinks he's a liar, and he said a few more things. He said enough that Mayor Doc Rowan filled out a police report. That's kind of what's going on. I'll see you again very soon.